Welp, I'm back at it again, and it's going to be a long one. This is my much awaited 17 movies I watched in June. So, quite a bit more than I watched in May, but I'm surprised I even watched this many films last month, because the first week of June I was on vacation. I went to the Smokies, so yeah, I talked about that in a few of my earlier reviews, and it was a much needed vacation, but I did manage to catch some very good ones and just okay ones. So let's go ahead and get this thing started, because I have a lot of movies to talk about. So the first movie I caught was Spider-Man Across the SpiderVerse, and I caught this the day before I actually left for vacation. So obviously I didn't see any movies that entire week that I was on vacation, but back into Spidey. This is the much anticipated sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, and this movie captured some of the best animation I've ever seen, and it has a very good story, but what really makes this movie frustrating is this part 1 trend. 3 movies alone this year that are doing that. Fast X was one, this was one, and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is going to be the other one. But let's talk about what this movie is about. It picks up with Miles Morales, a couple of years older, he's mid-teen now, and he's getting used to being Spider-Man, and he's just trying to keep Brooklyn safe until Spider-Gwen comes back into his life, and she's part of spider people, and there are an active 200 and something characters in this movie, and it's a bit much at times, because you gotta keep up with everybody. This movie deserves at least a couple viewings. But you also have the introduction of Spider-Man 2099, which is kind of like the villain of this movie, but he's really not. He's just like the serious Spider-Man that doesn't want time to be corrupted, because one of the main plots in this film, Miles figures or hears that his dad is going to die, so he has to go back to his universe to prevent that from happening. And 2099 doesn't want it that way. So, of course, this movie is split into 2 parts, and the next one we're looking forward to is Beyond the Spider-Verse. I have no idea when we're going to get that, because there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes drama with writers and animators recently. This was supposed to release next March, but it could be March of 2025 for all we know. But great movie. Very frustrating that they put this in 2 parts. But once Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, I'm sure this will be a great trilogy. So that was Across the Spider-Verse. The next movie I watched was Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And I had a lot of fun with this. Thank God Michael Bay was not at all attached to it, because this is actually a very cohesive movie. Is it the best? No. But it is a damn fun movie. So essentially this is kind of like a soft sequel to Bumblebee, and it is taking place in like the 90s, and you have Mirage, which is kind of like a Bumblebee-like character towards Noah Diaz, played by Anthony Ramos. And essentially, they're trying to like get this device so Unicron doesn't destroy Earth with the Terracons. So they have to find help with the Maximals. So I really like the inclusion of the Maximals, because they're kind of like animal sentience of the Transformers. I mean, you got like a gorilla, you got like a falcon, a rhino, and a cheetah. Really solid movie, and I would definitely like to watch it again. So that was Transformers Rise of the Beasts. The next movie, though, was a totally different experience. So the next movie I watched was live commentary of the movie. No, The Boogeyman. And let me clear that live commentary of the movie comment up. So, this was a new Stephen King adaptation, and I got stuck sitting by these two annoying teenage girls. So that's where the live commentary of the movie comment comes from, because they were talking throughout the entire thing. But unfortunately, I really didn't care for this movie whatsoever. It was generic and very forgettable. So essentially, it's about this family who just lost their mother, and the youngest daughter is terrorized by the Boogeyman. So she also has her older sister, and she befriends like some of her classmates, but they start not liking her that much. This movie's all over the place, and it took a lot out of me. But essentially, she gets together with like the man who killed himself at the beginning. She gets together with this guy's wife to try to destroy the Boogeyman. There we go. But they do the stupidest thing imaginable. They don't turn on a light to weaken this thing. Oh, this movie was frustrating. Not only because of my experience, but it's just dumb. But you'll see my full thoughts in my Boogeyman review. So, moving on from that fiasco, I have the start of my Indiana Jones run through. Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I did film a singular review for all 5 of these movies. And this is the one that started it all. This was released in 1981 and stars Harrison Ford. And he's after the Ark of the Covenant. So, yeah. Very good action film. Ranks very high up there. And it is very rewatchable. So if you want my full thoughts on all 5 of these movies, check out my review series. But that was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Moving on to next movie I watched was The Flash. And this movie got a lot of crap towards it, to say the least. But I did enjoy it. It's unfortunate that this was one of the biggest box office bombs of the year. And you thought that bringing Michael Keaton back as Batman would make this movie popular. It's pretty much Ezra Miller's behavior behind the scenes. I mean, he was all over the news last year. That's kind of why this movie failed. But I do like the inclusion of the Flashpoint paradox in here. And you also get the return of General Zod and the a more branched out version of the Man of Steel climax. And you also get the inclusion of Supergirl in here. But they're kind of like multiverse of madness. Duh. So essentially they're killed off. Yeah. Trademark. Multiverse of madness. But this is a really fun movie. It has issues with the CGI and visual effects. It don't look good at all. But all the cameos are kind of fun. You just get like classic DC characters. But I overall did enjoy this movie. It's more rewatchable in the DCEU, to tell you the truth. So I can't wait to rewatch this. So that was The Flash. The next movie I saw was Elemental. And this was another pleasant surprise. It's a new Disney Pixar film that features Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air. And it has aspects of a romantic comedy to it. So, fire and water don't mix, but they start falling in love with each other, and they realize that they can be one. So, very funny, very heartfelt, and kind of has a pretty sad ending, but it turns happy as well. But it's a shame that this was another box office bomb. I mean, you had like some solid movies this month, but people just aren't seeing them. Huh. But that was Elemental. The next movie I watched was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And this movie needs no introduction. It's the darkest of the franchise by far. And this has more horror elements. Because you got like the famous dinner scene, you got the sacrifice to Kali with Balaram ripping out the heart. This movie is just riddled with bleakness and darkness, but it still is very lighthearted. The only thing I hate about this movie is Willie. She's probably like the worst indie girl by far. But she is very memorable, to tell you the truth. But, like I said, if you want my full thoughts, I got reviews on all 5. But that was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Followed by Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Fireworks. But this is another one of my favorite indie movies. It's really up there with like Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one features Indy's dad, played by Sean Connery, and they're after the Holy Grail in this one. Very solid father-son camaraderie, and you have like one of the slickest snakes for Indiana Jones himself, and that was his love interest. So, really do enjoy this movie, but what holds it back is it gets kind of slow in the middle, but overall, I kind of do like this climax quite a bit. So, that was The Last Crusade. And to wrap it up, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And this movie was very polarizing to a lot of people, because it took 18 years to come up with another Indiana Jones movie that nobody even asked for, but this one went off the rails with like its sci-fi twist, and it involved aliens. But I still have fun with this one. It is near the bottom of my list, but it's still a very solid movie. So that was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The next movie I watched was a movie that I just put on like one night when I was bored with my mom and sister, and that movie was Backcountry. So this movie was marketed as a true story, but it really wasn't, I think. But it's about like this young couple who are, he's about ready to propose to her on a hiking trip, but they get lost and they're ravaged by a bear. So yeah, it's just a pretty basic bear attack movie. It was very slow and kind of boring to me and forgettable, so that was Backcountry. The next movie I watched was No Hard Feelings, and this is the new Jennifer Lawrence irreverent comedy, and this movie has been getting a lot of attention because of a certain nude scene. Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about. But this movie would have been made in the 2000s, but it definitely wouldn't have worked today because people are easily offended. But essentially the plot is this down and out Uber driver who gets her car repoed by her ex-boyfriend, and the only way to save her house is to go on Craigslist and hire this family, essentially. Well, she talks to the parents of this kid, and they're very rich, and all they want her to do is get their son out of his shell to prepare for college. And they also throw in the fact that if she has sex with him, they'll give her their car. So, a very problematic plot. But this movie is played with like heart and raunch. But it's essentially like any other 2000s, or going back as far as like the 80s or possibly the 60s. And yeah, it's just basically like this older woman seducing this younger man. So I did enjoy this movie quite a bit, but it wasn't like laugh out loud or as gross as I wanted it to be. It was just safe. But I really did enjoy Jennifer Lawrence's character in here. She is what makes this movie watchable. And I also compared this movie to like a modern Graduate. So if you want my full thoughts, I got a video on my channel. Just check it out. So moving on, the next movie I watched was a rewatch, and I've seen this movie quite a few times. The remake of The Hitcher. This was released in 2007, and this just modernizes the Hitcher from the 80s. And that movie starred C. Thomas Howell and Rutger Hauer. But this movie definitely branched a little bit off of that movie and kind of made it a little bit better, in my opinion. But it's about like this young couple who are on the road. Forgot exactly what they were doing. I think it was like a concert or something. But they almost hit a hitchhiker, and they try and pick him up, but he turns out to be insane. And Sean Bean actually makes this character terrifying. But they're also framed for murder, so they're on the run from like Neil McDonough, which is like a ranger or something. And this is just like a solid cat and mouse game. And not to mention the truck scene. One of the dopest kills in horror that's modern. That scene always stood out to me. But this is a very solid remake. So moving on from there, I have a rewatch of Good Boys. And the only reason why I rewatched this one this was the same director as No Hard Feelings. So I just wanted to rewatch this one, and this is essentially American Pie in middle school. But it's about like these three kids who get invited to like a kissing party, and they just like snoop on their 20-something-year-old neighbors who are both girls, and they wanted to see how kissing actually works. So they steal the main kid's father's drone there, and the girls catch it, and they keep it hostage, and to avoid punishment, they have to try and get this drone back before the main kid's dad comes home. I really did enjoy this movie. It's definitely a good, irreverent comedy, and you have like these kids that are like 12 just saying all this insane stuff. I mean, they don't even like know what but you know, I really did enjoy this movie quite a bit. I've seen it at least 3, 4, 5 times, and famous scene of Rock of Ages that just makes me laugh every time. But it's a very solid movie. That was Good Boys. By the way, I do have a review for that movie on my channel if you guys want to check it out. It's one of my earlier reviews. But moving on, and I have like 4 more movies to talk about. So, rapid fire. The next movie I watched was Bumblebee. And I haven't watched this movie since theaters. It's been that long. So I just threw this on one night, and I highly enjoyed it. Because it has aspects of like E.T. and the Goonies. And it just has that backdrop of the 80s that makes this movie very nostalgic. Highly enjoyed it. It's definitely low stakes for the Transformers franchise, and that's kind of a good thing. But Bumblebee was sent to Earth to avoid Cybertron being destroyed by the Decepticons. So a couple of Decepticons get wind of his existence on Earth and try to destroy him. But the Decepticons get to John Cena and his battalion to take Bumblebee down. But you also have the camaraderie of Haley Steinfeld as well. Definitely one of the best human characters in this franchise. So yeah, a very solid movie. That was Bumblebee. The next movie, Peaches, 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 Peaches. Yeah. I rewatched the Super Mario Brothers movie. Only because I really wanted to. But I saw this earlier this year, obviously, and I do have a review on it for my channel, so check it out. But this just introduces Mario into the Mushroom Kingdom, and he's trying to defeat Bowser with the help of Donkey Kong. very solid movie that a lot of critics were wrong about. And this is in talks of being in my top 10 best movies of the year. So, see how the rest of this year turns out. But that was the Super Mario Brothers movie. Two more. And the next movie I watched was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So, as of recording this, you'll see my review for that movie before this video. So I'll already have it on my channel. But I just recently talked about this. So this brings back Indiana Jones in his 80s now. And he's after the Antitheka, or whatever this thing is called, which is Archimedes' dial, and it has the power to turn back time. So he goes back to the siege of Syracuse in 212 BC, and implausible things happen. But I do enjoy his sidekicks in here. Mads Mikkelsen is decent, but he's nowhere near my favorite villain. He's just like this Nazi that just wants to make the world better without Hitler. And yeah, that's pretty much Dial of Destiny in like 2 minutes. But very solid film. It's too bad that it was another box office bomb. And finally, the last movie I watched was Eight-Legged Freaks. And this was a first time watch for me, all the way through at least. I've just seen bits and parts of this. So this is about a town that is plagued by giant spiders. And it has that campiness of like 50s B movie creature features. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's very 2000s with David Arquette and Kari Wuhrer and even a young Scarlett Johansson. But it's silly and it's a lot of fun. So those are the 17 movies I watched in June. I really wish I could have seen The Blackening at least, but I never did get around to it. So there was also Extraction 2 I really wanted to watch. Even going to lengths of like Flamin' Hot. But those movies will probably like come in the next couple months or whenever I watch them. But these are just the movies I watched in June. But yeah. That's my full video. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow I'm gonna bring you my Indiana Jones ranking and my top 10 war movies. And then to round out the week, if I do have time, I'll also have a review on Insidious: The Red Door. I'm hoping. But if I even have more time, I might even have like a Mission Impossible movie review for you. Because Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning comes out next week. And I have 6 of these things to get through. Help me. But that's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And hope you guys enjoy your 4th. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios. Peace.